Not there. Okay, but 2 for 1 special. Call it what you want.
This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Reagan Seaban, filling in for Marissa. And tonight is the most anticipated night of the NBA Summer League schedule, with the debut of the most highly touted prospect in decades on the docket. A 7'3" phenom, Victor Wembanyama, gets set to make his first appearance on the court with the Spurs, as they take on second overall pick Brandon Miller and the Hornets in a juicy matchup in Sin City. Now, Wemby has been embroiled in a bit of controversy since TMZ reported yesterday that Britney Spears had filed a police report after allegedly being backhanded by a member of Wemby's security when she tried to tap him on the shoulder. And of course, Wemby was asked about it.
Before with the security, don't stop because it's gonna make a crowd. So I couldn't stop. So that person was calling me sir, and that person grabbed me from behind. So I didn't see what happened because I was walking straight and we told don't stop. But that person grabbed me from behind, not on my shoulder. She grabbed me from behind, and so I just know that the security pushed her away. I don't know with how much force though, but security pushed her away, and I didn't stop to look, so I kept walking and enjoyed a nice dinner.
Something tells me what happens in Vegas doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay in Vegas. And right before Wemby's debut, Raps fans can catch their first glimpse of their first round pick, Grady Dick, in action, as Toronto opens their Summer League schedule against Chicago. The Raps are counting on Dick to provide them with some much needed sharpshooting, as Toronto ranked near the bottom in almost every offensive category last season. The Kansas standout averaged over 14 points per game and shot over 40% from behind the arc. And you can catch all the big debuts tonight in an exciting triple header on TSN. First up, it's Dick and his Raps at 6:30 Eastern, followed by Wemby and Miller, before the Warriors try to exact some revenge on the Lakers after their loss in the Western Conference semis. Time now for the Mercedes AMG Minute. And for it, we're bringing in our F1 analyst, Tim Hauraney, all the way from jolly old England, where he's covering the British Grand Prix. Thanks for joining us, Tim.
Cheerio. Hey, that's my best British. That's all I got, but hey, I'm having a really good time while I'm over here at the British Grand Prix.
All right, so we know that the title race is kind of out of reach right now, with Max Verstappen entering the weekend with an 81-point lead in the driver's standings over teammate Sergio Perez. However, we hear that Brad Pitt is on site at Silverstone Circuit and will be filming scenes for a movie that also involves the help of Lewis Hamilton. We need the deeds, Tim, ASAP. You're on the clock. Let's go.
Yeah, they actually are starting to film and do their production this weekend right here at the British Grand Prix. Now, essentially, they've created for this movie a fictional 11th Formula One team. They have their own garage set up here that's actually quite remarkable, and they're actually taking an old Formula 2 car and they've converted it into what looks like a Formula One car. Now, Brad Pitt has been doing quite a bit of training for this particular role. Lewis Hamilton has actually been giving him a hand, and Toto Wolff told us on Friday that he's actually been up in France participating in a number of different driving schools. He's been driving many different Formula cars to just kind of get an understanding of what racing is and racing lines. So he's been working really hard on that, apparently. Now, one of the obstacles that they may run into or they may face is with this shoot is the on-track action. Formula One has allotted them about 15 minutes of time a few times throughout the entire weekends, and that's a really tight shoot. The director was telling us it's one of the toughest ones that he's actually ever had to partake in. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they put this entire production together. I'm really excited to see how this thing all works out.
And that is the hard-hitting F1 analysis that we've come to expect from you, Tim. Thanks again for joining us, and enjoy the race.
Hey, thanks very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
And we've got the big race for you on Sunday, with coverage of the British Grand Prix starting at 8:30 a.m. Eastern on TSN. The CFL season is in full swing as we head into this week's Friday night football matchup featuring the Calgary Stampeders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. For the Stamps, it's been a rough start to the season, most recently coming off a tough overtime loss to the Riders, before sitting out last week on a Week 4 bye. To make matters worse in Cowtown, injuries continue to test the depth of Calgary's offensive skill position. Dual threat running back and return man Peyton Logan joins last year's rushing leader, Kadeem Carey, on the 6-game injured list, while the wide receiver room lost yet another player when star receiver Malik Henry ruptured his Achilles. While the return of Reggie Bagleton helps out the pass catching, the Stamps are also bringing back a familiar face In Mark and Michelle. After spending parts of 4 seasons with a handful of NFL teams, Michelle returns to Calgary, where he was an effective receiver for 2 years. In response to the signing, Michelle said, "I always knew that it was a possibility that I'd end up back here. I'm super happy we made it happen." On the other side of the ball, the Bombers will look to improve on their 3-1 record and separate from the logjam atop the West. They'll do so with the help of star receiver Nick Dembski, who returns after a 1-game absence due to the birth of his first child. Winnipeg has certainly enjoyed playing the Stamps of late, as they swept the 2022 season series and are riding a 6-game win streak at Winnipeg's IG Field dating back to 2017. Catch the action tonight at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on TSN. It's been a minute, but we love having this guy on. All the way from Slovakia, Robin Black, good to see you.
Hello, my friend from beautiful Banska Bystrica here in Slovakia. Great to be with you.
UFC 290 goes tomorrow night from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. And this card doesn't quite have the star power of some events, but for true fight fans, some really fun matchups. What excites you most about this card?
What am I excited for this one? In a word, Mexico. Martial arts is an art form. Like other art forms, like dance and music and even food, art gets flavored by region. And there is a Mexican champion in Moreno fighting on this card, and Yair Rodriguez also fighting for the featherweight title, the UFC featherweight title. And this Mexican flavoring and texture that's added to fighting, they bring a passion, they bring an enthusiasm, they bring risk-taking and innovation in the cage. So I'm super excited to see the Mexican fighters represent.
And finally, we have to ask you about this Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg fight. How badly do you want to see these two billionaires go at it? Will it be entertaining, and who do you have winning?
I can't say that I'm all that excited to see these two billionaire nerds fight each other. They're probably not particularly skilled. There's a video of them on the internet training martial arts, and they're trying to help Zuckerberg look good. He's a white belt in jiu-jitsu, and I don't even know what Elon Musk does. But will it be exciting? Personally, I don't think we're ever going to see these two fight. But I think the interesting stuff is speculating on it and joking about it and messing around with it. If they do fight, Zuckerberg just has a punchable face. Not trying to be rude, but he really does have a punchable face. I'm pulling for Elon. He's also super unpredictable, and he's an innovator. And innovation's important in fighting. But do I think they're going to fight? I don't. But if they did, I think we'd all watch.
Robin Black, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Reagan. Enjoy the hostilities.
And as always, you can catch the prelims for UFC 290 on TSN at 8 Eastern and 5 Pacific, while the main card is available through your local television provider via pay-per-view. That's all for today, and Marissa will be right back here on Monday. Have a great weekend.